Whose ideas was this, bro? Whose ideas was this, man? It was good, y'all. It's your boy Weiss back with another Sparking Zero video. So in today's video, I want to talk about super counters and why I believe this mechanic should be changed. Alright, for starters, let's talk about follow-up damage, right? Like, bro, look at this. 4 follow-ups does basically 11k damage. To do 11k damage, like normally, like if you went neutral game, you need to do 3 strings, right? So you gotta do this right here, this again, and then this, right? And then you do more damage, right? So my two first strings, I don't do 10k damage. See right here? Not even 10k. It's slightly less, right? And that's a problem. That is a major problem. It's like there's no way in hell that I'm able to do more damage just by clicking triangle 4 times in a row. There's no reason. And like the problem with this is like, you know, if you're not lagging and stuff, right, it's easy to counter, right? You're gonna, like, you know, you're gonna be able to super counter. But that's the problem, is that there are players, right, unfortunately you cannot super counter nor vanish against them. Like, you know, their Wi-Fi or just, no, they have just trash connections and you can't vanish nor super counter. So you gotta take these damage and you can't do nothing about it. So you basically lose a whole health bar because you couldn't super counter. But if the developers, right, they just fix how super counter works and make this mechanic not as broken as it is currently, bro, we won't act like, bro, players will not complain as much as we like as right now. The reason why I say it is that super counters, right, it's literally the source of every problem. It is the source of every problem, because one of the main problems that player has in this game is because like they can't vanish, or, you know, they can't super counter. Like, you know, for instance, where I'm fighting a player and, you know, that player cannot super counter me, that's frustrating, right? Or not being able to vanish. But what brings vanish wars? What brings super counter wars? What makes players able to go instant spark, right? Super counters, right? Let's say you're Super Saiyan Blue Goku, right? And I super counter you. Look, because of that, I'm able to go instant spark, right? Because he couldn't vanish me. See, this is the source of every problem in this game. See what I mean? The reason why I was able to go instant spark was because of that super counter what I did. That super counter I did. This is no longer a problem. But let's say before the patch, right? I was using Super Vegito, for instance, right? What made me able to actually get my opponents back, right? Pause, right? What was able to make me like get my opponents back in this game, right? And like have after image, right? Let's say, right, my opponent wins neutral, right? Guess what? I have after image now, right? What made me actually get his back, right? Guess what? It was super counters. Look, after image, get his back. Because of what? Because of super counters, mind you, right? That player wants neutral, but the fact that I was able to super counter that player, and he maybe the reason he couldn't vanish me was because of lag, or, you know, something like that. It was because of super counters, and that's the problem, bro. Imagine you're fighting a laggy player, right? And you somewhat manage to win neutral, right? And let's say that player immediately super counters you, and he's on a character like Gogeta, for instance, right? And, you know, you have no key and you can't super counter because, you know, like, you know, he's super laggy. You can't vanish nor super counter because he's laggy, right? And you have no skill points, so you can't even revenge counter. What's gonna happen? You're gonna have to take all these damage. basically 10k damage, right? Mind you, you want neutral game, bro. You want neutral game, but it didn't matter because if the moment he super counters you, basically you get punished. Like you see how ridiculous that shit is? Like that's why I said in this game, you can know all the combos in the world, know how to win neutral, like have a good neutral game. If you're fighting a super counter merchant like myself, you're not gonna win. Like bro, a lot of players, right? The streamers, a lot of streamers, the content creators, like players, content creators, they keep saying that this game need dedicated servers and stuff. And I agree with them. I do totally agree. This game, having a peer-to-peer game in 2025 is crazy work. I agree with that. Like we're not complaining as much. The problem in these games and this game is super counters. Super counters is literally the main problem with this game. If they fix it, this game will be much better, and we will not like lag will not be as much of a problem as it is. Like if you're lagging and stuff, super counters is your number one enemy. The reason why is because one of the main problems that players have in this game when they lag is that they can't vanish, or like they're not able to super counter like as they usually do. Right? Thing is, right? If they fix super counters and make this mechanic not broken, like for instance, they make super counters reset the neutral, like having a laggy opponent is not gonna be as like it's not gonna be as frustrating as it is currently. Because now it's like, okay, yeah, my opponent is laggy. Like, if I win my neutral game, all right, it's cool. The only thing he could probably do is super counter me. But at least now it's like we said the neutrals. I'm not gonna get punished, right? And that's the good thing, right? Like, bro, imagine, right? I'm fighting an android, right? And I win my neutral game, right? Guess what? If an android player super counters me, I this is basically me. This is basically punish, because if they super countered me, they're gonna have more key, and so they could just turn the table around, and so they're gonna do this, 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 and then Z-Bridge that's behind me and put me in Android jail and just do it back to back. You know what I mean? So it's like that shouldn't be a thing. It's like, bro, if I win my neutral game, I should be like, bro, it's a punish for you, right? You're the one that should be punished, not me. And if you're able to get out of it, okay, cool. But I shouldn't be the player that gets punished for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that super counter wars or advantage wars can't be a thing, right? They could still exist. They could still be in the game. Like I love super counter wars. Super counter wars are fun at times, right? And when my opponent and I have good connection, it is fun to have super counter wars. But at least now, if I want to have a super counter war with somebody, I need to win my neutral game, right? So I'm the one who decides because I want neutral game. Let's say, for instance, right, I could do this right here, and guess what? If he super counters me and stuff, we could have a advantage for it. But at least now, I was the one who decided, right? And like I said, like I was the one who wanted to have that advantage for it, right? Not my opponent, right? So it's like I'm not getting punished for winning my neutral games. These mechanics depends on your opponent's connection. So if your opponent has good connection, it's gonna be super late. So basically like offline right here. But if your opponent has bad connection, it's gonna be super early. And the only way for you to actually know the timing, you need to actually take damage first. And that's the problem, right? Follow-up damage are just ridiculous in this game. Especially for characters like MUI, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. These characters have so much follow-ups that, it's not worth it. Like they need to change how super counter works. Either it takes resources, which I'm not a big fan of because I heard a lot of people, I think Aulu who said that too, that super counter should take resources like take skill points or either key bars or anything. Like if I do super counter, I lose key. I'm not a big fan of that. That's why I want super counters to reset the neutral, because if super counters reset the neutral, it gives players it gives skillful players more chance to actually win the game. The reason why is because now you're not gonna be at the mercy of your opponent's connection, because now it's like, okay, yeah, my opponent super counters me, cool, but at least now, right, like I'm not gonna get punished for winning my neutral game, right? Yes, it is annoying that he's able to get out of combo like with a create like with a easy way, like super counters is not hard to do, but it's like it's way less annoying than fighting a player where you win your neutral game against them and then they immediately super counter you and then boom, you can't do nothing about it. And the thing about this is that super counters is a mechanic that takes skill. Like it's one of the mechanics that takes the most skill in this game, but it's also a mechanic that takes all like no skill. Like, bro, there are players, right, that I'm fighting against them. They're able to frame one me every single time I fight them, right? But these same players, The moment I go for follow up against them, they can't super counter me. They're not able to super counter me. So it's like, how are you able to frame one me every single time? Like, I'm winning my neutral game, but at the same time, when I'm going for follow ups, you can't super counter me. So that's how I know this is not skill at all. This is RNG. But yeah, anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Um, I really believe that this mechanic really deserves a change. I hate a mechanic that's just based on my opponent's connection, and like it just doesn't make sense. Like you can't really master this mechanic because if it depends on your opponent's connection, like how can I really practice it? You know what I mean? So how can you tell if someone is actually better? So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll read the comments. Like it really helped me a lot. But I'm out. Peace.